Hey guys, I'm David. This is Daniel. Welcome to Sounds Like NYC, a podcast dedicated to spotlighting New York City talent. Our guest for episode 79 is a Queens-based musician and multimedia designer. Please welcome Rich.
Hey, nice to meet you.
And Rich, you have a guest. Who's that? She looks familiar.
This is Anik, the Raye girl. Anik, she had interviewed with you a few years ago.
Yes, I had longer hair and darker, so I cut my hair. And so I told you my life story. So now it's his turn. So we have music projects together. So I'll introduce a little bit what we do, and then I'll let him do the talking.
Sure,
so I play.
no problem.
Good. So he plays guitar and he writes songs, and he'll tell you what he does. He does a million things. And I also write songs. I play bass. I sing. I play a little bit of guitar, harmonica. And so we have three bands. One of them is the French Connection. So it's mostly acoustic cover songs. We play for restaurants and local bars. Right now, we don't do a lot of shows because of the pandemic. We have another band called Hell's Riot, and we have a few originals, and we do covers. We have a drummer. It's more heavy, more rock. We also had a lot of gigs right before the pandemic, but that was canceled.
That sucks.
Yeah, and then we have our third band. It's called Holy Harmony, and that's a funny story. So I have a friend who lives in France, in Paris, and she's like a religious Catholic. So she wanted me to write a song about
An uplifting kind of song.
Uplifting, about believing in having faith in God. And I'm religious, but not to the point of writing a song. But I thought it would be interesting. I thought it would be like what the hell? Let's try it. The irony is that we have one band called Hell's Riot, and now we have a band called Holy Harmony. And we send you the link of the video. So during the pandemic, we wrote the song, we did the video because he does also video editing. So that's another thing that he does. And so we have the link of the video, and that was fun to do. We did the video in the woods in Forest Park and in his apartment because he has a studio in his apartment. And so this is our three music projects that we have. So I'll leave him for the rest of the interview. It's his interview.
She keeps me busy.
Sounds like it. Sounds like she's just using you for all your talents.
Oh, yeah.
Have fun.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you.
It's a roller coaster ride.
So Rich, how did you develop your love for music?
Okay, so a long time ago when I was 5, my mother, God bless her soul, she passed away when I was 9. She had bought me a Beatle record, the Red Album, which was like a double record with all the greatest hits from certain early years. And I think I put on the second side by accident first, and it was the song "Help," but they had an intro that was produced by a symphonic orchestra, and I immediately was like I just fell in love with it, the whole record and everything. And then since then, every year I would get a Beatle record, and that's what started me. And then got into everything else: Led Zeppelin, Hendrix, straight up. One thing I do, I think I do well is appreciate all styles of music, because then as I got older, took me a little while. Then I got into the Dead, Bob Dylan. I got into funk, Motown, jazz. You name it. Whatever was out there, I learned to appreciate it all. Even the world music. I got into Indian music. I listened to country. I try to push that onto Anik. Like, you got to listen to everything. This makes you a more well-rounded musician.
I can hear you.
You're right there. But I'm right about that. Anyhow, so that's it. Yeah, my mom brought me this Beatle record, and that kind of like fueled me. Like instantly was like I had Beatlemania at 5, and then that just led into everything else. Because they like the Beatles too were influenced by everything. They listened to all types of music. And,
yeah, for sure.
Did their own thing and created their own art music, pop music, whatever you want to call it. And then they were innovators in the recording, and everything. So it was just, it's amazing to watch them blossom and then fall apart, But that's it. That's definitely was my trigger that got me into this, and I've had the bug since. So and I'm still learning. I'm still like getting turned on to music that happened, 30, even classical music from 100 that you never hear. You know, it's impossible to hear all the music out there. So I'm always getting turned on to something new, whether it's, you know, new jazz or new rock. You know, I try to keep up with the current music too. You know, now I'm playing all these like these shows, these cover shows, and I'm being forced to learn like, you know, Taylor Swift songs,
Right.
Lady Gaga, which I appreciate. You know, I don't buy the record, but I appreciate it. You know, and it's like I learn it, and then, you know, like I said, it makes my horizons much more broader. You know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, how do you think, you know, the way people discover music has changed, and do you feel like that has anything to do like with, you know, how their music taste develops like now, like people who are just like starting out and like listening to music now, like, you know, kids?
Well, the amazing thing is like kids have, you know, like the internet changed everything, because, you know, now people have, you know, all this information at their fingertips, and kids, that's why you see all these kids who are amazing at playing guitar and drums at like young ages, you know, because they can learn on YouTube, and also they're exposed, they have access to like all the music that, you know, for me to listen to world music, I had to listen, somebody had to, you know, you had to go out and buy a record, or you had to hear it from somebody, you know, and you had to go out and try to find it somewhere in a record store where they sold it. Today, if you know, you have access to all of that, you know, so it's just a matter of if you have an interest in music, you can search for everything on the internet. So I think the kids have an advantage, you know, they can expose themselves to all these different, you know, wonderful types and styles of music. And they can also learn how to play the instruments by just watching and learning. You know, on YouTube, there's plenty of people just sharing their knowledge, you know. And I even look on YouTube sometimes when I want to figure something out and I'm having a hard time. I'll, you know, hey, how do you know, what's the music to this song or whatever. And it's just, it's amazing, you know. And so I feel like, you know, it's the same way, you know, you follow what you like. So if you hear something and you like it, then you can like really go to town and learn everything about it.
Like, and that's just a lot easier for people to do that, because like it's just there, easy to get into it.
Yeah, and then you can also you know, join network with people who are into that same kind of music. So, you know, everybody is like able to communicate and share their knowledge, and it's just, you know, you have more access to all this information at a quicker rate. You know, nobody has to go to a library anymore. Nobody has to go to a record store. You know, you can buy everything online. You don't even have to buy a product. You just download it. You know, just like with the movies. Nobody, you know, we went through, you know, watching stuff on TV to VHS, you know, to DVDs, and now to streaming. You know, when you know, it's like everything's on a cloud. You know, we have all your whole library of everything there, media. But it's incredible, but it is different, you know, like I just feel like that's why you see all these great, amazing, talented kids. You know, I see these little, like, there's this little Japanese female drummer, and she's playing Led Zeppelin to note for note, you know. It's like, she's like 6 years old. You know, it's like, it's incredible. And yeah, it's amazing. And it's scary at the same time.
Yeah, but yeah, and yeah, it's the world has become such a different place, obviously, since, you know, you were a kid, you know, experiencing music, and like a part of that obviously is you growing up within New York City. So like, how do you think the scene of New York City has changed since from when you were like young and like first experienced it to, you know, right before Corona kind of like destroyed the music industry?
Yeah, that's another incredible big change that's happened. You know, I remember when I was first, you know, starting out with my original bands, you know, trying to get a record deal, you know, there were a lot of, you know, there were clubs everywhere, you know, all around, you know, the New York City area, Queens. You know, we used to play New Rochelle, New York City, Brooklyn. And, you know, it seemed like the scene was, you know, for rock and roll, it was thriving back then. You know, this is just after, you know, like the whole CBGBs thing happened, you know, in the 70s. And so like the late 80s is when I was getting into it, early 90s, you know, when grunge was coming around. And yeah, the music scene was still strong. You know, you had the Limelight, you had the Cat Club, you have all these great venues, which no longer exist. You know, the Limelight is now a mall. You know, I don't know if you guys remember, the Limelight was like this great church that was a club, and it was amazing. You know, I played with it. You guys probably weren't even born.
Probably not.
That's why, you know, but if you go there now, it's a mall. You go inside.
Is it a good mall?
Yeah, they gutted it. It used to be the coolest rock. You know, one of my favorite venues to perform at, and to go to hear live music. You know, I used to hear that. Yeah, but that's not the case with a lot of these venues. You know, you see them closing, and now with the pandemic, everything, it's just like the whole music scene seems dead right now. You know, a few places are holding on. and hopefully they make it through it. And, you know, today the music scene has also changed. You know, now it's like everything's online. You know, you see a lot of these concerts, virtual concerts happening. You know, I mean, I still love going to see a live band. You know, when they come into town, I'll go see them. But you don't see many of the, you know, small band now. Like a lot of the musicians, like myself, you know, we'll find ourselves playing in cover bands to, you know, to make ends meet on the weekends. You know, playing in bars and restaurants, which is a big thing now. But you know, it's just not the same. You know, like the original music scene, it's still there. And I still think there's great music because I still, you know, I hear things that I love. You know, that's new. But I guess, you know, it's tough because like the DJs now are the big thing. You know, you see these DJs selling out. You know, they're the ones. They're like the new rock stars. You know, one guy with all this, you know, equipment. You know, playing you know, beats and stuff. And you know, I listen. I get into that too. I have a friend who's a DJ. You know, and I go to one of his. He holds this thing called Fuzzyland out in California. It's like a private thing, almost like Burning Man, but not to that extent. It's more like for people. It's just never. You know, his name is Tom Rothrock. He produced. He's discovered Beck and Elliott Smith. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
He produced my first record with a band called Dog Society.
That's cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah, he was like my mentor as far him and his partner Rob Schnapp at the time. They had a little thing called Bongload Records, and they were our first producers when we got signed to Atlantic Records. That was back in '93, you know, and you know, we went through the whole thing. We didn't, you know how it is. They sign a certain amount of bands, and the ones that sell more records are the ones that get to go on. You know, we didn't make it to that level, you know. But we were fortunate to go through the whole thing, and it was a great experience, you know. And it's, I don't regret any of it. You know, I had a good time. I learned a lot, and then I just, like I said, I do it for the love of it, not for. I don't really worry about fame, you know, and fortune. It's more just, you know, like when you're passionate about your art, that's all that drives.
Do it.
That's
Yeah.
the drive. Yeah. You know, I tend to like just that's you know, of course it would be nice to have, you know, the comfort of being, you know, having success and fame, but it's not what fuels me. You know, sometimes I say like a lot of these bands when they get big, then they lose their creativity. You know, because they you know. So hopefully I keep doing stuff and getting better as I get older. Like, you know, like wine, I just get better. You know?
Awesome, yeah.
But I mean, like I said in the intro, like you're not just a musician, right? You do
I'm an artist, like
a
visual artist. I do, you know, I paint. You know, when I went to college, I went to FIT, and I went for illustration. And this is about the time when the first computer came out. So what happened was, you know, I was a traditional illustrator because I had a gift. I got scholarships to SVA, I had a scholarship to Parsons, to Pratt. And I ended up going to FIT because that's all I can afford, you know. I was kind of on my, you know, I was young, but that was all I can afford because all the other schools were very expensive. Even with the scholarships, they were super expensive. I think the scholarship afforded one semester, you know, and then the rest had to come out of loans, which, you know, I dreaded doing because, you know, you don't want to come out owing all this money. But FIT was a really great experience. And when the computer came out, I bought the first, you know, whatever it was like a little small, the Mac came out with the 2SI, I forget what it was, but anyhow, you know, I started, and I remember like to fill it in, you know, if you drew like a square and you wanted to fill it in, you hit, you know, fill, and it would take like 15 minutes, you know. Today,
That's crazy.
no, seriously, it's like you would get frustrated, like I can't wait for this, you know. But that's how, and I stuck with it, and that's how I got into, you know, then I led into my career as graphic design, which then led to me to motion graphic design. I do like, you know, motion graphics. That's my main thing right now, you know. And I'm able to do print work. I design logos, you know, the whole spectrum. So I call myself a multimedia artist because on top of that, I also do the audio thing, you know, and the video thing. So I shoot videos, edit them, and I also record, you know, I've recorded my own records for the past 15 years. I'm doing my own records, you know, my CDs, and I record other artists. You know, I sent you a link of all the stuff, you know, projects that I've worked on. But yeah, you know, so like I consider myself a multimedia artist. I mean, since a kid, I've been, you know, that's been my escape, being creative. You know, it's sometimes, you know, I get lucky and I get these great paying gigs, but, you know, like I had a good run with a company called Deluxe. They had bought another company I worked for called Blink, and it was all post-production work doing, I designed the menus for the, you know, Blu-ray discs and DVDs. So when you put in the Blu-ray discs and those menus that come up, and that's what I do, you know. And I had all A-list clients like Sony, you know, HBO, you know, like, and then, you know, I had a good 10-year run with that. And then what happened was, you know, the streaming thing happened. So now nobody's buying physical copies, so they closed our department down in New York, you know, and then that was about 2017 that happened.
Yeah.
So then so I was, I started hunting for work again, and then I realized, everybody I went on interviews, like, you have to beef up your portfolio, because I had to learn the new technology, because it changes so fast today, like all the, the effects, the plugins, the way things work, and it's like constantly evolving and at a fast rate, and so that's been I've been trying to get back into courses, which I will be going back, to beef up my portfolio. And then in the meantime, I've been freelancing, just doing whatever I can do, producing, doing motion. I work for like a independent documentary film company. They hire me to do little animations, and all, it's like a lot of different jobs,
right,
all together that keeps me afloat. But it's not like that. I don't have the luxury of the steady paycheck, which, is, every week,
it makes life,
every artist knows.
It makes life interesting, Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, it's easier when that, and it's easy to do your taxes. My taxes are faster right now for the last 2 years, because I get, like, some people don't send me 1099s, and then they report it a year later. It's like, it's very, like, it's like it's all over the place. Like with the steady job, there's one income, one place where your taxes are being taken out. So you go to HR Blind and everything's runs smooth. Now if you look at my taxes, it's like, it looks like a bomb exploded. It's like, oh my God. But
But I was gonna say that, like, that's like really cool that even though, like, you still, I guess part of it is to survive, but it seems like you are very passionate about creativity and art in general. And you were mentioning before about how, like, these, like, kids can just go on YouTube and stuff like that to, learn how to play drums and things like that. And, like, I was just gonna say that, like, you could do the same, like, even like if not like a free option, like, YouTube to learn how to use like the latest video editing software, plugins, whatever. You could like also do, Skillshare and save like thousands of dollars compared to, like, just like
going
a
to school
regular
and doing
degree.
the course. Yeah.
Which something I wish, I did that, when I was like starting college, because instead of like going to college, I would just taking, courses online and things like that. But yeah.
Absolutely. You're absolutely 100% right. But unfortunately, like, at my level of my career, I have done that. That's how I got through, because a lot of, I wasn't like, I didn't go to school for this. A lot of the guys I was competing with and doing motion graphics, they had an edge on me because they were, coming out, knowing all the latest technology. I sort of had to do that. I was learning as I was being hired. I was learning on the go, but I was able to do it. And, and like I said, but the problem is now it's like, the equipment, the software, the hardware and everything is expensive, and that's the one thing good about when you do go to school, they don't make you pay for that. So you can use the latest technology. So, it's included with the tuition. And so that's my battle right now. It's like, how do I do this to make it work? And, I know the career I want to do, I want to get into the, I had a job interview with Sports Channel doing the background, motion graphics for like sports. And then, they would send you, when the Olympics happened, they would send you away for 2 months, to go do the background animations for the sports. And then even you get jobs at, doing football, baseball, and the pay is amazing. It's a 6-figure salary, but the technology, you have to be on top of it. You have to have the training and everything. And that's what I'm planning on going back for, because it's still a creative job. It's not like I seem to like stall when I get hired for, like, I remember I was working for, when I first started out, I worked for an advertising company, and an advertising, just doing straight up statistics for sports columns and stuff. And I hated it, and I get bored and then I just lose interest, and, it just doesn't, I'm not able to stay at a job like that. I have to have some sort of, creative experience in order to keep it, to be happy. Otherwise it's like miserable. I'm miserable, and so that's why freelancing I love, but I don't like not having that steady paycheck.
Yeah.
So I know what I want to do, and going back to class, it's like I have to strategic, be logical and make a strategic plan in order to make it work. So right now that's where I'm at. The pandemic has put everything on hold. So I'm right now I'm researching on courses that I need to take to follow through with my goals. And I'm hoping that it can happen within the next 2 years, But in the meantime, I'll freelance and hopefully the freelance keeps flourishing. Because right now, miraculously, the work, whenever I'm like, like there's like I'm negative like money in my account, a job will come in. It's like,
Right.
yeah, that's how it happens. I know somebody's looking out for me. And somebody up there is looking out for me because it's been I live I think we all know what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck.
For sure.
We got enough money to get some food, to pay our rent, to just to keep ourselves going, and that's it. I'm not, it's not easy these days. And then you got to worry about your retirement because there's no more, everybody you have to put into your own retirement, and it's scary. And and the pandemic's kind of just like changed everything because now everything's on hold, and now everybody's experienced this unemployment, and there's issues with people can't afford to pay their rent. What's going to happen, if this thing, and thankfully and hopefully this vaccine is puts a halt on all this, and everything gets back within 6 months. Hopefully we're back to where we were and could rebuild again.
I mean, we could just all we can do is hope and pray.
Exactly right. Yeah, sure.
But in the meantime, I'm doing a lot of painting. So
There you go. No, I mean, that's what I like about you. Like like you said, you're taking the initiative to like try to adapt to like what's going on, with motion graphics. You're going back and seeing like how you can improve. Like, how do you think you can improve yourself like as a musician these days?
Well, if you're a real musician, you always they say you're never going to be the best at everything. You have to work at it all the time because nobody's. I mean, except if you're Beethoven, or like one of these prodigy people. But I'm always constantly like I said, learning new songs or learning just learning a new part, learning how to play a drum beat for a song or piano. Try to keep it's like a spiral technique that all musicians know about. You try and I'm gonna get better, and then I'll get into a little bit of theory, and then I'll sight read some music for and I just keep doing that. Oh, and then as the years go on, I notice you get better at everything, Mm-hmm. And reading music is one of those things people don't do it anymore, but it really does help because then you have when you can read music, you have a better understanding of it, and that's that would be my advice to any musician is learn about music in all ways, not just learning the latest hit song or how to play the coolest guitar riff, learn how to learn about rhythm and reading notes and writing. It'll just make you better, and you'll be more confident as a musician.
For sure. I mean, is there anything that you wish you would have done differently as a kid?
Absolutely. Well, not as a kid, but when I was in my early 20s, the music, there was I remember it was all these musicians were going, like in the 80s, they all went to LA to do the glam rock thing. And that's probably when I was in high school. I got into that, I was into Motley Crue and Ozzy and all that. But, when I got out of high school, it started, I remember, friends going to Portland to, because there was a scene happening there. That's where the whole grunge thing was happening. And this is before it broke. So I felt like I had an opportunity to do it, but I didn't have the courage, That would be my only regret. I didn't, I stayed where I felt safe, because, when you just out of, you're in college, you really oh, I'm going to make it happen here, but I think as a musician, if you went over there, you had more of a chance, of hitting on that whole thing. I mean, a lot of the bands that I've seen, most of those guys are from other states, they moved there to pursue their musical dreams. And, some may, and obviously not everybody gets lucky and gets to, be one of the, leading, bands or whatever, but
at
least
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that would be my only regret, not having the courage to, get up and leave, just go there and sleep on a floor for 2 years.
Yeah.
I decided to stay in New York and do that.
There you go. I mean, I'm pretty sure I made the better decision staying in New York than going to the West Coast. But that's just me.
Yeah, I prefer the warmth of the of California and all that jazz, of SoCal, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But at least you got lucky, meeting your wonderful lady. And speaking of which, how is it being in a relationship with somebody else who is also a quote unquote creative type or
I
creative?
can help with that.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to answer that both, that'd be great. Yeah.
Hide the bruises.
It's like being in an insane asylum. That's what it's like.
No, there's some good and some bad. I think the good is that we're more comfortable. you know, to communicate, to play together, to write music, to you know, shoot videos, because we know each other so well. So you're more comfortable than doing with somebody that you already know. Like if you are shooting a video or being a photo shoot, you know. And the bad side is that we do know each other so well.
I can say one word to piss her off.
But, no, it's like,
hey.
I think there's more good than bad.
No, there is. That's
it.
It's a lot of fun, you know. It's like any relationship, you know. There's a lot of different angles, but I like, you know, when we were asked to write the song for this, you know, religious label. You know, what do you call her label? What's the name of the label that she has?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
But yeah, like what they do is they release this music on a label, and it's all like you know, spiritual, uplifting song. But we wrote the song in like a night, and then we recorded it in one day, and we did a video in one day, and it just happened really fast because we both knew we were on the same page, you know. And I guess, you know, when we butt heads, it's like any you know, when you have two huge egos in one room, you know, there's gonna be a battle to the end.
Yeah.
But you know, we always end up saying, okay, you know, we'll see eye to eye, and we make it work. You know, and that's the way you do it. You know, just like a relationship, you got to bend a little bit. Each party has to bend and compromise.
You say yes, dear.
Yeah, and I say yes, dear, but then I'm really saying yes, dear, but I'm still gonna do it my way.
I mean, but I think
That's
it
why
does
it's
help because like if there's something that you're lacking in, like she can just help you out.
Yes. No, she sings far better than I do, so that's why I know, like, she balances me out, because I feel like I'm a better musician, but she's a better singer. So, you know, but she's a great bass player, by the way. She is. But I'm a bass player too, and I'm better than her.
Because you do like a bass off.
Yeah.
No, actually, she's very talented, and we complement each other in that sense. You know, we're able to do like all different styles of music, and you know, we're able to work together. And then, yeah, like again, like it's like being in any, you know, most creative project. There's always tension. You know, you're not going to get a project where everything's perfect, because then it's not interesting. The tension is part of the, you know, the final, what comes out of the music. You know, by people not agreeing. It's not about being, you know, if everybody's on the same page, it's going to be boring. You know.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you being sort of like a jack of all trades. Like, do you think it's important for musicians to do that also, or should they just like to stick to their lane, and then anything that they have trouble with, they just hire out? Like, what route do you think they should go?
Well, you know, for me, I have to be, because to survive, you know, like it's like all these little odds and ends that put together that help me to stay afloat. You know, but if someone is like an amazing singer and they can make it as a vocal stylist, you know, like let's say like Elvis Presley, you know, he's an amazing vocalist, but he had to rely on other people to, you know, to write the music and play the music and record the music. Today it's different, because now everybody has home studios. Everybody can. That's why I'm doing it, because I was able to, you know, set myself up with a nice little multimedia studio, and I'm able to record, do video, edit, and, you know, do all that. No, I'm not saying I'm the greatest at all of it, you know, but, you know, definitely as I go, I get better, and that's it, you know. And I would advise, you know, if someone, like, I think today most musicians, if you're an artist, you have to, you know, you find yourself having to be you know, do different things to stay afloat, you know, because, you know, you could be a great guitar player, but, you know, how much work is there going to be out there? You know, most great guitar players are writing jingles at home, you know, during the day, and then they're playing gigs on the weekends, you know, and then doing shows, and every now and then getting hired to do a tour, going on tour with it, supporting another act. That's the way it is, you know, the life of a musician. It's always been that way, I think. Like Jimi Hendrix, before he was Jimi Hendrix, the most amazing guitar player, he backed up like all these bands, you know, and did a lot of recordings. You know, that's what he did to survive, you know. And then that's the, you know, so I feel like it's always been like that. You have to, you know, you find yourself doing, you know, different things to stay afloat, you know, and, you know, and I just happen to be lucky that I can, you know, my visual and my musical, you know, passion kind of go hand in hand, you know, because they're both creative, and I don't get bored then, you know, by just constantly doing the same thing over and over. I find myself, I got this job doing this one day, 1 week I'm doing this, 1 week I'm playing gigs, you know, and again, like I said, for me it works, you know, and I guess I would just, you know, suggest most musicians or artists, you know, whatever works for them, that's what they do. You know, if you get a sweet gig going on tour, you know, that's great. But then tours don't last forever. You have to come back and find another band. So while you're not on tour, you have to find other ways to make ends meet. So you know, you produce or you record. You know, you try to find other sources of income. So again, like I said, yeah, I think it's you just have to be smart about it and do whatever works for you. You do.
Definitely, yeah.
Don't do drugs.
Exactly.
Yeah, don't do drugs. No. Drink too much.
No. At least don't let anybody know you're doing them.
There you go. Do it in the comfort of your home.
Exactly.
Not in the street.
Yeah.
Do it behind your closed door. But yeah, you know, it's been quite a ride. That's like what I can say. And hopefully, like I said, I have my you know, moments of you know, there's always highs and lows. You know, at some points things are going great. Some points things aren't going so great. But you got to keep plowing ahead. You know, no matter what.
No, for sure. How do you feel like New York City has changed you as a person and as an artist?
Well, I was born, raised, you know, in New York, so I feel like I'm a New Yorker, you know, and I know it because when I go to California, I feel like everybody's in slow motion, you know. I swear, you know, it's like you got, you know, it takes forever to go anywhere, to make plans. It's like everything closes early. I'm like in New York, you know, I'm out, you know, I'm eating breakfast, you know, going out to eat at 3 a.m. in the morning, you know, after a gig, and it's like it's just. Yeah, I love New York. Yeah, and I don't know. Are you guys both from New York?
Yeah.
Born and raised.
No, yeah. You're like, don't you feel like this is home? You know, no matter where you go.
I may hate it, but like, there's no other place that I would want to hate more.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, sometimes I get fed up with it, you know, because like, yeah, it's just people are stressed out in New York. That's for sure. Because I know I get stressed. That's a New York thing, you know. We're wound, you know. We're always going 100 miles per hour.
Yeah.
We're always trying to get everything done, you know. And it's like that's what happens, you know. You grow up in a city, you know. We're you know, today with the internet, it's a little different because, you know, everybody can see what's going on around the world. But New York is like the Rome of, you know, what Rome was back in its time, you know.
Oh God, like, then I wonder how
terribly
it's gonna like end.
You know, no history tells us it's gonna end bad.
Yeah.
But we've already seen horrible things. You know, I mean, 9/11. You know, and the pandemic. No, I don't think any of us were prepared for this. You know, it's like, and this is unfortunately, this is all around the world that's experiencing this. So it's a very, you know, I think it's kind of overwhelming for all of us. But at the same time, we're all going through it, and it's a very unique experience. You know, and it's like, I mean, I'm just praying, like I said, this vaccine is good to go, and that they get everything, you know, within a year or two, that we're back. You know, hopefully the music scene comes back harder than ever. That's what I'm hoping for. You know, because I feel like people will be hungry for live music.
No, definitely, sure. Yeah. Like after this whole thing ends, like, you know, maybe it's gonna be kind of like a cultural renaissance in like New York City. I mean, and like all over America and the world. So
I'm optimistic that artists are gonna be making a lot of money when this thing is over, because people just realize. They need that connection.
All the money in the world.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. As am I. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for having me, man. I really.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank
you for coming on.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it, man. I hope I didn't bore you too much.
Nope, you're a super interesting guy. I don't think I've ever met anybody who's like, you're fucking with Atlantic Records, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, back in '93, Dog Society was the band.
Oh.
And
then you tell them that who you played?
Well, you know, I was in 2014. I played at the Beacon Theater.
You opened up for Blondie. You know, he's so modest.
and we opened up for Blondie in 2016 at the over in New Jersey. Yeah, that was a fun show.
Is your guys' music still available, like, online?
Absolutely, yeah. If you go to iTunes and Dog Society, you can find all of our
Dog Society.
We have three releases over a 20-year period. You know, we did the first record, and then we did an independent label, and then we did a self-release. You know, after that. World is on my shoulders. World is on my shoulders now. Nothing too big to hold me down. Nothing too big. So yeah,
awesome.
our music's there, you know, and the critics always love it, but you know, unfortunately, you know how it is. It's not. It's like you gotta. There's a lot of things that line up. You know, has to be the, you know, timing is everything. But look, I'm a fan of these bands. I know you guys are familiar with the Sonics. They're like
no.
they had a song called "Have Love Will Travel" that was big on a Ford commercial. Basically, they were like a band, the first garage rock band from the '60s. Before like the Kinks came out and all those bands, they released this record and it didn't sell anything, and they broke up. And then what happened was 30 years later, one of the kids who was a fan of them, and they were from like Washington or something, you know, the West Coast, Northwest Coast, and he was a big fan. He became an art director at Ford, and then he used the song on a commercial. Fast forward 30 years later, the album goes platinum, and
That's crazy.
they're on tour.
Just like the Ocean Spray thing.
Oh yeah, just so like
just like the Fleetwood Mac Ocean Spray thing.
It happens a lot now.
Yeah.
It happens all the time today. You know, another example is there was a guy, a Volkswagen commercial, similar thing. A guy named Nick Drake who passed away, you know, at 20, you know, in his 20s, but like a really dark singer-songwriter from you know, England, and he died very young age, and a fan of his used a song called Pink Moon on a Volkswagen commercial, and then his record goes, you know, starts selling again, you know, and then like everybody knows.
Maybe that's the way musicians make money. Just
just like the marketing.
Yeah.
I mean, well, you know, John, like John Mayer had this like collaboration with Volkswagen back in the day, or I think it wasn't like a collaboration, but like he was like a part of like their whole like ad campaign, because they used to like pair up guitars with the Beatles that they were selling. So it was like a whole range of these guitars that you could like only get if you bought like a Beatle. So like
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Smart advertising.
Yeah,
definitely.
You gotta be creative when you're an artist, or you gotta find different avenues to like see how you can get your art out there.
Definitely. Yeah. So is there anything that you want to end off with? Any like last words or word of advice or anything?
Sure. Just you can check out you know, Dog Society, Hell's Riot. I sent you a bunch of links. Maybe you can post it at the end of it.
Definitely.
French Connection. I had the Sangsara, Broken Groove. These are all my projects over the past 10 years. My paintings are online. You know, you can see my artwork, and I sell prints of them. You know, and I'm still like right now. I'm doing a lot of. You know, I'm in the middle of doing a bunch of paintings. They're more political right now, just because of what's going on around the world. Yeah, I'm just hoping, like, you know, like I said, maybe I'll be, you know, like, again, I'm one of those guys. I'm very optimistic, you know, but like Van Gogh died, never sold a painting in his life, and now his paintings are selling for millions. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that's going to be me, but yeah, he believed in himself.
Your own death.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna. Yeah. Oh, don't shh. That would make a great movie. When you get caught, you're screwed.
Yeah, there you go. You gotta give all the money back.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I'm just hoping that the world, like, I'm hoping to see a better country after this craziness that we've been through. You know, all this craziness that we've been going through. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. Hopefully, that we come back together and we come back stronger. And I'm hoping that everybody, you know, makes it through safely through this pandemic. That's it.
Definitely. Awesome. Well,
yeah, thanks again, Richard, for coming on. We really, really appreciate it.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. I enjoyed it.
Awesome.